Hello, people. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Talk Influencers. Of course, this is where we explore the mindset of amazing achievers. We share their secret to success and how the decisions they've made over the years have shaped, transformed who they are today. Thank you so much, everyone, for always tuning in. It has been a moment of change and impartation over the past few years, of course, and today is going to be, of course, our 100th episode on the Talk Influencers. Actually, we have had 100 guests, different guests on this show, and today we'll make it 100, of course. And we are so excited about this section because we believe there's going to be a moment of change. It's going to be a moment of transformation for you and I right here on the show. And no further ado, I cannot just wait, of course, to invite our guest today. He's going to be with us shortly. His name is, of course, someone that we need to listen to. There's so much to learn from him, and of course, an innovation expert. There's so much to learn from him today. And so his name is, of course, Oluseye Soyode Johnson. There's too much to learn from him today on the Talk Influencer, and I cannot wait, of course, to learn, unlearn, and relearn from this our wonderful, amazing guest today right here on the show. So we can start this section at exactly 4 p.m. WAT. I believe that you're going to join us, and of course, I can assure you that it's going to be a moment that you, of course, you are glad that you are part of this wonderful moment with our guests today. And no further ado, we are going to be sending a request to our guests now, so our guests can just be with us right now. We can just commence this wonderful section. Thank you so much, Omo B. Thank you so much, Omo underscore B. Thank you so much, my sister, for joining us. I believe that, of course, you are following us on the Talk Influencer so that you can get notifications and updates as regards every of our talk shows that we are going to be having, of course, right here on this section. So with no further ado, can we just invite our guests, and so that we can just start this wonderful section, of course, with our amazing guests today on the Talk Influencers. Today makes it our 100 guests on the Talk Influencers today. That we started is 2019, of course, February 2019. It has been a moment of transformation, I cannot tell you that. And of course, we have had 100 guests right here on the show. Today makes it 100. I am so excited to have Oluseye Soyode Johnson today on the show, an innovation expert. There's so much to learn from him. I believe that after this section, you are going to testify that, of course, this section, of course, changed your life. So much to ask from him today, and I believe that it's going to change our lives, you and I, lives for the better. So with no further ado, can we just invite our guests and send a request to our guests now, and so that our guests could just join us. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Refined, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much. You don't take this for granted. Thank you for spending all the time with us today. All right, we just started trying to send a request to our guests so that our guests could join us. I'm so excited. All right. A request have been sent to our guest. Our guest is going to be joining us now on the show. So if you are just tuning in, this is the Talk Influencers. Like I said, this is where we explore the mindset of amazing achievers. We share their secret to success and how the decisions they make over the years have changed, transformed who they are today. And of course, why we are here, because we believe that it's going to be a moment of change and transformation for you and I. Our guest is here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hello, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Awesome. I am so excited to have you today
Yeah,
on the
me too.
show.
Really great. And happy Father's Day to you. I might ask everybody as well. I'm lucky to be a father too, so it hits different this time.
Absolutely. This big friends, of course. Happy Father's Day to you, of course, for tuning in today. We are so excited, of course, of having you today. The day is especially for all fathers, and we are having you today on the show today. We are so excited to have you today on the show. Thank you so much, Oluseye, for joining us today on the show. And of course, we cannot wait, to start and to know, of course, learn and to tap in to learn, unlearn, and relearn from you today. And believe that you can hear me properly.
Yep, loud and clear.
All right, awesome. All right, I would like us to start immediately. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Talk Influencers. Of course, this is where we explore the mindset of amazing achievers. We share their secret to success and how the decisions they've made over the years have shaped, transformed who they are today. We are, of course, committed to provide you with the tools and the knowledge that you need to unlock your potentials and to influence the world. My name is Simon Odewale. If you're just tuning in, and today we are so excited, of course, to have Oluseye Soyode Johnson today on the show, an innovation expert. There's so much to learn from him today, absolutely, and we are so excited. The entire team at the Talk Influencers. So excited to have you today on the show. All right, now, Shay, can we start today now? So, can you share with us this?
Go
All
ahead.
right, awesome. All right, can you share with us what is it that you feel that you have done differently growing up that had made a tremendous impact to you who you are today? What are the things that you feel that you have done, or the decisions you have made growing up that had made a tremendous impact to who you are today growing up?
First of all, I'm just do a really quick plug, right? I know that there's just a few people, but as everyone else joins, I would say, please, 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 if you haven't got your PVC yet, right? Especially if you're joining from Nigeria, if you're Nigerian, please, it's really, really super important that we make a change in the way that Nigeria and, one of the most important countries in the world, will evolve over the next couple of years. So, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but please, please, please make your voice heard. It matters. So I think that childhood is extremely important, especially in the life of a man, right? And in the life of a woman as well, but especially in the life of a man, because I feel that this is where a lot of our ability to see the world right side up comes from, right? This is also where a lot of the seeds, right, for the kind of men that can inspire really come from. So I would say that, first of all, as this is Father's Day, you know, fathers really need to see how important their role is, because I think that very key to my life, right, were my parents. Um, and I will try to be as open and as honest as possible, right? I know it's easy to be a talking head sometimes, right, when it comes to, say, talking about inspirational things and influence and things like that. So I'll try to be open. I my background, about when I was 4 years old, my parents split up, and I think that was quite hard for me, even as a child, right? I was thinking today, do I feel like that affected me, right? Even because you're so young, right? So it really shouldn't be as hard hitting as when you're older, but I think that it really still did, right? And so even up until now, right, unpacking some of those things, right, no animosity, great friendships, with my parents and my stepdad, who I see as my dad. But I really think that some of those things are the things that impact you and that you have to overcome, right? To really become the person who can be impactful to the rest of the world. And if you don't, right, these are things that delay or complete. Um, so I would say that some of the things that were different in my childhood were, my parents, the influence that they had on me. I mean, the way that I thought about things, and the way that I thought about faith, and the way that I thought about other people. Many people, would have called me uh, kind share, or, wise share. This was at a very young age, right? Because I thought a bit differently. I treated everybody with respect. And I think I overdid that in a way, right? I sort of started being this person who wanted to live up to that sort of name as I grew older. So sometimes you would allow other people have their way, instead of really pushing for what you want, right? And so this then meant that, again, something I had to unpack, right? But one of the things that really stood with me was the fact that, your talents are things that make room for you. I think that was something that my parents at the beginning really, really instilled in me, right? I danced a lot. I performed. I love performing. I really wish I still could do that now. But I did that a lot. And I also love technology. So I couldn't really tell which way to go, whether, to focus on technology and how beautiful that is, or whether to focus on the arts and how creative that is, right? Both of those are things that really make up who I am. So I decided to go for both, right? Up until university, and really try to express myself. But one of the things that hinders men, and especially boys, is fear, right? And shyness. I really felt, and I don't know if maybe this was something from when I was younger, but I really felt very insecure, right? And I didn't feel like maybe if I really had a place at the table, right? In any conversations that people would have. So I would rather push other people forward. And I think that early in my university days, I had to really decide that if I wanted to sort of, do some of the things that I enjoy doing, I had to sort of overcome this, right? And take chances. And sometimes it can be hard, right? I'm a praying man, right? Especially let's take the creative side, right? So maybe I'm about to do I'm the lead character, let's say in a play, right? I did a few of these theatrical pieces that were really successful, and you would find that everyone sort of feeling very pressured by the audience. You have 2,000 people out there, and if you mess this up, right, literally people will feel like all of this work that has been done goes down the drain. And so at those times I would literally tell myself, why am I feeling this way? What is making me feel this way? And sort of ask God, like, God, why should I be feeling fear when you're the one who's put me in this place? And a lot of times God would then say, it's because of pride, right? And that doesn't really make sense, right? So you're feeling shy, or you're feeling insecure, or you're feeling fearful about a situation that has to do with other people looking at you. And God says, yeah, it's because of pride. And I'm like, what does that mean? Right? And I would then look at that and see that actually it's it's a place where I'm waiting for people to, I'm waiting for the aftermath, right? So I'm going to go on stage, I'll get over the nerves, and I'm waiting for people to come at me and say, oh my God, that was amazing because this has happened before. And, and God is like, no, I need you to give up that place, because that's what's holding you back. And all of a sudden I give that up, and I literally feel like a weight off me, right? Which then inspires all of my other, co-actors or entrepreneurs or whoever is around me, around these big events, to really aspire to do their best as well. Every single time I did that, amazing things happened, whether it was in the startup ecosystem, speaking to investors in Silicon Valley, or in front of 2,000 people, playing a lead character. So I think getting over fear, being creative, trying to feeling the fear but still stepping out anyway. I think those are key things that have really helped me on my journey.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shaya, for for breaking that down and explaining that very, very well. But I really want to ask you this, still on fear. You agree with me that so many Nigerians, and maybe generally youths, have this problem or have this issue of fear of launching out, or maybe they're afraid of launching out. In your own case, Shaya, what are the things that you do to move over or to surpass fear or to overcome fear to become who you are today?
Okay, so let me start with things that I've done in the past, right? So I'm currently working as part of the digital services team at Ericsson across Africa, supporting MTN. We sort of looked at how do we help MTN build bold, new, innovative products on top of Ericsson's technologies, right? Based on the investments that these operators. make on top of us. That's one side. I'm also heavily invested in growing the space ecosystem across Africa. So I'm part of the Global Entrepreneurship Network's space program, right, which is looking at space as an entrepreneurial activity that says space is ready for business, right? So just as Nigeria has a GEN network, a global entrepreneurship network, Kentucky, Saudi Arabia, all of these different nations have a GEN network. It's about 160 countries. We're saying space is its own sort of location that business can be done, right? And my take on this, right, is, looking at all of these kinds of far-reaching type activities, whether it's building bold new products, across Africa for in the telecoms industry, or with space, or with being creative, right? All of these things need us to sort of change our perspective, right? I think that is exactly what overcoming fear is, right? And I can't say that I've totally overcome it. I think it's one activity after another. Because hopefully, each time you're doing these things, you're going higher, right? You're going to a new level of challenge. So there's always going to be things that will challenge the things that you are confident in, right? And even challenge things that are in you that maybe you haven't sort of dealt with, right, from a fear perspective. But let me circle back on the question you asked. So, when I'm looking at, say, the space industry, right, that is something that a lot of people say Nigeria or Africa has no business, partaking in, right? Please go and solve NEPA, go and create some jobs, please, right? Instead of, talking about space or rockets, or, or the rocket to just fall down mid-air because of NEPA, I mean, these are jokes, but then they're really tied into something that's very fundamental and serious, right? In terms of misplaced activities sometimes on the part of our leaders. But I have a different view. I feel that, we have to make bold moves now, right? So that it guards the future for those who we care about. Now, what does that mean, right? If I'm fearful about something, right? Let's take speaking to 100 people, right? As I've done. Let's say maybe I'm called to speak, and I'm feeling fearful. As I've done every single time I've spoken in front of hundreds or of people. I don't feel like that ever goes away, and maybe that's a good thing because it shows you're not being overly arrogant, right? A bit of nerves, I think, help. But every single time, right, I have to ask myself, what is it about this thing that I'm about to share with people that I care about, right? What is it that I see as valuable in this thing I'm about to share that I want to pass on to my audience in a way that they will understand and care about it the same way I do, right? So instead of me thinking about the audience in front of me, instead of me thinking about the people who I'm about to address or my own reputation and the worst things that can happen if I'm not able to address them in the right way, right? Being able to shift my focus to the actual thing that I care about, right? And making that the focal point, all of a sudden takes your eyes off the things that are making you fearful, right? Because imagine if you're talking about your sister to a couple of friends, right? And maybe this is someone you love, right? This is someone who you see a lot of value in. She's she's doing great things at Harvard, right? So you're trying to convince these people so that they care about your sister the same way, right? You're not going to be thinking about it from a point of fear. You're going to be thinking about how can I convince these people? Let them see the gold in this person. It's the same thing, right? It's literally about shifting your perspective, and every single time it works. It works for me. It's worked for many people who I've spoken to before. they go up on stage, right? Just shift your focus a little bit. From the things that are saying, this thing won't work, right? Or the people will think a certain way, but think about the thing that is valuable that you have to share with everybody else, because that thing is valuable. And once you do that, it really shines, it really pops, right? And I think that kind of perspective shift works across everything, right? Even when you're going into business, right? It's about, what is it you're trying to change? What is it you're going into this thing for, right? Once you can focus on those things, then it really becomes something that moves you away from fear into doing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shaya, for saying that. I'd like to ask you this, Shaya. Well, apart from what you have just said, that about the advice that you received from someone, about how your talent can make room for you. Are there any other advices that you have received from someone that had made a tremendous impact to who you are today?
I think for me, it's about character. I think one of the places that I'm at right now, right, is, I feel like God is working on me from a character perspective. I feel that, there's still a lot of things that need to be unpacked, right? Whether it's, and I've come a long way, right? It's from one level to another. So things like pride, right? I think that a lot of us grow up as men thinking that pride is something that we have to have. Never back down, never say you're sorry, never let people see that you're weak, never ask for help, right? And even as far back as being a boy, a child, right? These are things that we pick up, right? If my little son's he's going to be turning 3 this August, right? And sometimes I see a few of those traits in him, which again, I said that those are things that I'm working on. And I'm like, where does this even come from, right? Why would you ask for help for that one thing that you can't do yourself, right? Why does that make you feel? He's not said that, but I can see that he's not asking for help, right? And he almost feels, embarrassed to ask for that. I'm like, So we can pick these things up even at a very, very young age, right? So for me, I think that working on character is one of the most important things. And, if I'm to put that into a phrase, it would be character comes before promotion, right? There are a lot of things that people are asking for, praying for, wishing for, that if they got it, it'll really mess up their lives because they don't have the capacity to hold it, right? That thing is theirs. And I'm not even speaking from a faith or church perspective, right? We as human beings can do a lot of amazing things, right? When we go for things, when we're courageous, right? But we really have to have the character that helps us to stand in those places, right? You see people who win $1 billion or maybe 100 million in the lottery, and you see their lives afterwards, right? Completely shattered, right? Because what you see as fun and valuable, right, are things that don't really add up to a good life or a sustainable life, right? Or long longevity, right? So after a while, they completely lose that money, right? It's the same thing with pride, right? Pride really spoils things when you look down on people, and even hidden pride, because a lot of people look for people who are clearly prideful, right? I have friends who are the most confident, overconfident men, right? They step in and you're like, yes, okay, yeah, I know that this person doesn't care about anybody in this room, and there's confidence. But then some of them are also arrogant, right? Maybe that also came from childhood, right? But what I then find is that every single time that I've been prideful about something, or I've looked down on somebody, right? And I'm being completely honest, right? It's really diminished how far I could go in that thing, right? And I think it's built into the fabric of reality, right? Again, not to bring the Bible and stuff in, but there's people who go right up to the front, right, will always be brought back to the to the back. People who stay at the back will be brought up to the front, right? So have some humility, right? I think that is super, super important in anything, right? And then I would say to men, right, lust is not a character trait that in today's world we really have to work on, because not just because it's not a healthy thing, right, in terms of porn or in terms of messing about, thinking those are the macho things that we really have to pick up. And these were the things in high school, right, which again, high school is one of the most formative years for me, right, for many men, right, because we pick up the crowd and people and the characteristics that we think are important to get us forward, right? And so a lot of times I felt that I had to be that guy who was getting the girls. I had to be the one who could talk to the girls. I had to be the cool guy, right? Unfortunately, right, a lot of times you don't see that you're already those things if you just don't focus on being those things. But a lot of people then turn towards trying very hard to you know I got into things like excessive drinking, partying, and just to fit into those things. Got into a lot of lust, porn even. And what that does in the long run is it creates men, right, out of those boys. It creates men who are at first maybe not as loving, right? At first, maybe not as compassionate, even when they get married, right? This was something that I had to really work on with my wife. And it really just it doesn't build strong men, right? So I'll say pride, lust, arrogance, in terms of character. And then one of the last ones is courage to love and courage to be led by love, right? We look at love as something that is it's not as praised in today's media. It's not something that you would look at and say, whoa, Jeff Bezos, the second richest man, or Elon Musk, a man's man who's an investor, an inventor. You wouldn't look at those people and say, oh, love, is something that they're really pushing or espousing, or, it's not something that, is put on a pedestal as much as things like being a bit arrogant, or getting what you want at all costs, or getting women, or whatever it is that we look at as men, things to really aspire for. And these are hidden things, hidden seeds that dictate everything else in our lives, right? And how we see those things. So we really have to be very mindful, very guardful about those things, and really sometimes as men change what we prioritize and what we prioritize for our children, right? So please, getting rid of pride, arrogance, something that I'm working on, not getting into lust, porn, things like that at an early age, really having that confidence that, you can be yourself and really do, things that you feel not as secure about, whether it's about women, whether it's about other men, in terms of, when I say other men, in terms of, the kind of friends you want to roll with or whatever it is, right? And I say a lot of these things even as a boy, because men grow out of these boys, and a lot of men are still fighting these things, right? You're having fights with your wife, you're having fights with other people because you can't be seen to back down. You're wrong, but you can't ever be the one to back down, right? And so we have to really have the courage to love, to be led by love, and to even love when we haven't been loved sometimes. I think that for me is one of the key things. Character comes before promotion, and these are some of the key character traits that I'm still working on. I've come a long way, but I think are key to my next level of promotion.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shaya, for saying that. So, you mentioned something about the kind of friends we keep. Can you share with us how important it is for, especially young people growing up, how important it is for one to watch the kind of friends you keep in attaining your potential, or attaining your goals, or attaining your getting something? How important it is your friendship that you keep in attaining or becoming the person that you want to be in life?
Yeah. It's incredibly important. You really have to find, you let me say, you have to make that that close-knit group of people, that wolf pack, right, into people who will tell you the truth, right, who will be honest with you. And that's another way to sort of get over pride, right? Um, you know, people who will be honest with you, even as they are kind in the way that they, they speak to you, right? People who genuinely care about you, right? Because you have a lot of people who see your potential a lot of times and who want to tag along. And sometimes they're not in your best interest, right? So some of the behavioral patterns that you might maybe are things that you need to cut off, right? Sometimes could be encouraged, right? Just because of the things you enjoy. The hardest things for us as men to remove are the things that we enjoy, right? I like to to give myself accolades, pat myself on the back, and say, "Wow, I'm really the, the ish," right? I like to think that I'm, great at talking to all the girls. I like to think that I have all the knowledge, and people see me for my knowledge. I like to think, and those are things that we have to watch, right? As I said it on my last point, but with the right friends who are courageous enough to tell you the truth because they care about you, these are things that you have a fighting chance with. I would say that you also need men who are courageous in what they go after, because that inspires you, right? A lot of times we second guess whether we should get into business, whether we should, take that next job, or maybe even get into relationships, right? Because of things that have happened in the past, right? So if we're able to, you know, connect with the right sorts of people who help us to overcome these sorts of things, not because they're telling us to, but because we can see that in their own lives, right? I think that actively seeking those kinds of people as well is also something that helps you, because friendship sometimes is not about us all looking at each other. It, it's sometimes about us all facing the right direction, right? So we're all facing and looking at that direction because we're all going in the same way, right? And I think that's important to note that, where the people around you, where are they trying to go? What do they see about their future, right? Is it something that some of them maybe are, they're negative about how they see the future. They're negative about, whether things can happen, when that job to take over, like that startup, right, comes up, and you're saying, do I have what it takes? Well, you've got one or two other people who've taken that plunge, who you knew maybe didn't have everything it took to take that job, but they took it anyways. And they've learned that you really learn on the job and being in something, and they can give you that advice, right? So I think it's very important who you roll with, and yeah, just being able to mindfully connect with the right people and care about those people and show them that you care. I think is super important.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shaya. Shaya, if you're given an opportunity to speak to the whole world for 1 minute, what are you going to talk about and why?
Whoa. Oof. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. uh, hmm. I would say that I would say, let me put Africa on a pedestal,
Yeah.
right? I would say that it's our time, right? I would say that Africa has always been sort of seen as the last continent, right? And maybe not fit to be at the table,
Yeah.
right? I speak from an innovation, from a technology perspective, right? I'm of the opinion that Africa is the next big thing,
Mm.
right? There is a voice on a global stage that is missing, right? And if that voice is missing, then all of us, right, are missing something. That gap is something that that the whole world needs to see, because innovation is about solving things that are local around in very local ways, and that because it creates value, it scales, and then it scales from within your country to other countries. And that's how nations grow, right? That's how continents grow, right? Just like Facebook started in one dorm room and then scaled to other, universities, and then to other countries, and now it's the whole world, right? That's where innovation really starts. And, if one voice is left out of that innovation conversation, right, because of its own unique perspective in terms of how it solves things, then the whole world is missing something, and the whole world is missing Africa's own type of innovation, whether it's in AI or 3D printing or space technology or the metaverse, right? All things that I'm super excited about. I would really say let Africa push and let the world make a space, right? We're coming through anyways, but let the world make a space, because if we're missing one voice, then everyone's missing in a very big way.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. It's our time, of course. Africa, let's rise up. Thank you so much, Sheye. Sheye, if you had to give your younger self an advice,
Oh, wow.
what are you going to say to your younger self? What are you going to say to the 22-year-old Oluseye?
Don't wait. Don't procrastinate, right? I would say Joseph in the Bible was told that, the stars are going to bow to you. He saw a dream of like all his other brothers bowing to him, and he took that and ran and started telling everyone like, oh, look at the dream I had. Oh my God, I'm going to be amazing, right? But what that meant is that he already thought it had happened, right? He didn't see that from the day that you see what you're going to be to the day it happens, there's a whole process of refinement, of hardship, of working, of taking every opportunity, of not waiting because you think it's done and procrastinating and thinking that everything will work itself out because this thing has been said, right? Incredible things have been said over my life, right? But I just sort of told people like, oh, look, this is going to be, I'm going to be this, or, I'm going to add this to the world, or, and what I found is that without taking the process and the steps, whether it's hard work, whether it's belief, in yourself, whether it's being less prideful, right? Those things get delayed, right? And you find that you're not really where you thought you'd be, right? So I think to my 22-year-old self, I'd really say definitely don't wait. Definitely don't believe that when something's said about you, it's an immediate thing, right? There's a whole process that comes, and I think that is something that resonates with this generation as well, where we see a lot of people who are making it, who are young billionaires, and we think that the process to getting there, right, is a simple one, but a lot of people don't show you, right, the in between, right, and you have to know that. Don't give up, because to get there is a lot of mountain climbing. So that's what I would say to my younger self.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that, Alicia. I'm going to ask you this, Arthur. Even as we round up now, if you are to give me 3 advice, and of course, people that are going to watch us, that are watching us right now, those that are going to watch the ITTV after this section, you're going to give us 3 advice that will change and transform our lives. What are you going to tell? What are you going to tell us? If you have to give me 3 advice that will make a tremendous impact to where I am today, or whoever is watching us today, what are you going to say?
I would say whether you're Christian or not, have faith in possibilities. So never step back from something that seems bigger than you. Humans were made to conquer and to take on situations that look completely against all odds, right? So always step forward and take a chance. So for me, faith is really about looking from a positivity tinged set of glasses, right? So there's always a silver lining. This thing could work in my favor. Let me try. Let me step out. I think that would be number 1. Number 2 is don't look at how the world places, self promotion and things that really will fuel pride, right? Try to be the person who has humility in a room. Try to be the person that even if everyone is looking down on a specific thing or place or people or person, you're the one who actually steps up, right? There's blessings in those things. And then the last thing I'd say is be true to yourself, right? There are a lot of things that as a young person, I thought maybe weren't cool, right? I loved comics. I loved drawing. I acting. I love singing. I love dancing. But I also love science. I love business. And all these things make me, right? And if I was truer to myself when I was younger, I could have expressed those things a lot more, even if everybody else thought, oh my God, this is maybe not the cool thing. Maybe that diminishes how they see me, you know. And social credibility can be very important when people are young. And you know, this is why I keep talking about youth, right? Because this is where you know, we set a lot of our futures as men. So I would say be true to yourself, and to the young generation, you know, those things that make you are there for a reason. So treasure them, and help them grow, fuel them. That's what else. Those are my three.
All right. Thank you so much, Sherry. Sherry, can you share with us the things that you do on the weekly, daily, or monthly things that you do for personal and self-development?
Okay, I'm constantly reading. I'm always read up. You know, I read very widely in terms of business, in terms of Christian literature, in terms of motivational literature. Um, yeah, just be informed. I'm always in contact with my mentors and sharing what I want to do. Right, so always have the right mentors, in line with the kind of things that you're trying to achieve. And I think the younger generation is really good at that. I know a lot of people who have connected with me and others just looking, you know, for direction in some way or another. So you know, I'm always in contact with the people who I think care about where I want to go, and who've done those things, right, that I want to do. And then I would say that the other things that I love to do are in some way be creative, right? If you are that so inclined, right? So this is also tapping back into, you know, being my authentic self, right? So how am I also growing those talents that maybe are not linked to my day-to-day or things that I would normally do, right? So, you know, looking for those opportunities, whether it's courses online that teach me about voice acting, because I do some voice acting for my wife's studio called Omoberry. You should check them out on YouTube. They're like Cocomelon for 2 to 5 year olds, and soon to be a $1 billion company like Cocomelon. So I'm always, you know, I'm trying to, you know, get better at the creative side of things. I try to, you know, get into drawing, writing, when I can. Yeah, just those are some of the things I do personally, right? Just to keep myself abreast of what's happening in the world and to get better, at the things that I don't usually use in my day.
Thank you so much, Oluseye. Yeah, I would like to ask you, is there anything you're working on, of course, that you want people to know about? I'm glad that you said about the one of your wife, the YouTube one, and I would like you maybe to, well, of course, I would like you to just mention it as well. And where can people find you to follow you? You know, maybe have a YouTube channel. No, you want people to know about whatever you're working on. This is just the right time.
Okay, so I'm working on a lot of things. A lot of things I'm doing are maybe things that are not as public facing. So I support startups, right? So a lot of really amazing startups. Some working in IoT for cooking, for clean energy. Some are working on telecom solutions. Some are working on fintech. Some are working on the next big social networks. You know, so those are things that I love to support young people and young entrepreneurs on those kind of things. Space is something that I'm incredibly bought into, especially for Africa. So I used to run space apps, the NASA Space Apps Challenge. I introduced it in 2014 to Nigeria. It grew from about 2 cities to about 14. With obviously with a lot of people joining and having their own programs within it, because it's not tied to me. But this year, I will be launching something called the New Conti Space Challenge, and that will really be focused on, you know, how do we take a lot of the ingredients of space entrepreneurs and space startups, right, and take them to be viable companies, right? Because a lot of space companies globally, right, are raising funds, doing really innovative things for space, and that is really the final frontier. We can't be left out as Africa, as Nigeria, from space, right? Like we've been done in many other technologies, right? We always wait till it's something that everybody has built up, and then we say, okay, let's get into it, but it's too late, right? Then we become only consumers. We need to be producers, and so it's important that we're supporting and we're building in new areas, and those things are also supporting and enriching the lives of people on the ground as well. So we're looking at how space can support agriculture, security, connectivity. So I'm working with a lot of startups across Africa and also Nigeria. So I'm also part of something called Gen Space. So that's the Global Entrepreneurship Network. And you can search for a Gen Space on on Google. I can also share details after this. My social handles are Oluseye SJ on Instagram. Yeah, check out the more creative things like Omoberry from Limitless Studios. My wife is working on. I'm also one of the voices for Mr. Kofi. But it's incredibly important, to have representation. So if you look at Cocomelon, which is, every episode, has like 1 billion views or 100 million views, right? And that's what we see for Omoberry. But you don't really see as many Black characters, right? Now you see one, two, but then this is authentically African. It's authentic, voices. It's authentic storylines. But then you see a lot of the diaspora is actually watching this. So, they're doing really great stuff. So please check them out as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Oluseye, for this Thank you for this wonderful opportunity here at the Talk Influencers. Honestly, I could just see, and everybody that's watching us now, is so tremendous influencers. It has changed and transformed us totally about what you have just said, Nathan. Thank you so much for this opportunity that we have with you today. We do not take it for granted, and we say thank you so much, Oluseye. And it has been a wonderful moment with you right here on the show. Thank you so much, Oluseye. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much, anyone. Do you have any? Can you hear me? All right. Do you have anyone you would like to say?
Just be bold. Yeah. I'll just say, let's be bold. Let's take over. Whatever your dreams are, they're valid. God put them in you. And, he wants you to walk in faith, right? Because in the end, it's not really something that you should take for granted. He's giving you that to support and help others, right? If you form a Facebook, it literally giving employment to hundreds of tens of thousands of people across the world. So that startup idea, that book for children, that singing, whatever it is, it's supposed to help and support people. If Sade never started singing and became a phenomenon globally, that voice, that soothes so many people, right? So everything has its value. So please, let's validate our dreams and really go after them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Oluseye, for this wonderful, wonderful moment with you of change and of transformation. Thank you so much. We can't wait to have you next time again.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This is the Talk Influencers. This is where we explore the mindset of amazing achievers. We share their secret to success and how the decisions they've made over the years have changed, transformed what they have today. Our tremendous guest today is Oluseye, of course, and he has said a lot of things that is, of course, you need to just go back to IGTV or the Talk Influencer. If you are just tuning in, of course, to find out, of course, these wonderful things that you have just said with us today on the show. We are the Talk Influencers. We cannot recover from the words that you have just said today. Thank you so much, Oluseye. And until next time, everybody, this is the Talk Influencers. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.